morning, Team Wilpers. It is Coach Lorri with you today to kick off our New Year. Happy New Year! Our New Year challenge. And with me is John Sykes, who also is here in California, which is awesome, although we've never met. And it looks like we've got some folks on board. So, good morning, everybody. Feel free to pitch in and say hi. And hi, John.
Hi there, Lori. Good morning. How are you
Good.
doing?
Well, it's been an interesting few days, but I'm doing great. Not in
Good
my
to hear.
usual spot because my usual spot does not have electricity right now.
It's
So,
hard to do these
yeah.
things without electricity.
Would you look at that? Andy Drexler is here.
There we
So,
go.
I
And
want to start, John. Tell me your Peloton story.
sure. So I guess it was during the COVID era. I did not buy a Peloton. I bought a bike, and
Yay.
I uh, I just love my lousy little state bicycle gravel bike, and I was riding all over the place. My birthday's in February. I got it around Christmas of 2021, and Andy is a good and dear old friend of mine. Gave me my first job out of college.
Andy
He
Drexler.
Andy Drexler.
No
Yeah,
way.
yeah. This is way back then. In any case, Andy wishes me a happy birthday. I said, "Let's go have lunch." We have lunch. He says, "Hey, I'm doing this really cool thing for Peloton and Power Zones." I'm saying, "Does that have anything to do with bikes? Because I'm really into bikes right now."
So,
and
cycling was new to you.
It was new to me. I am not by any means an endurance athlete. I would be a great sprinter though.
Hmm.
But I am an outdoors person. I
Yeah.
like being outside. And so
I
Andy
thought
tells me
everyone in Silicon Valley rode bikes. Well, now you do.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do, Lori.
We do, just in
Yes.
case anyone wonders, and, um, John lives in the mecca of cycling on the peninsula where if you're gonna ride a bike, you're gonna go by basically by his house. So if you need to go to the bathroom, you can probably stop and knock on his door and say hi. But
Indeed. I think
yeah.
I was climbing up Old La Honda Road and down the backside to the coast.
Mhm.
Uh, again, Andy had told me I'm doing this thing. I have this little FTP app called Domestiq, and it's on the App Store. And I said, what's FTP? What's Power Zone? And so Andy went deep down the rabbit hole into Power Zone training, and he built an app to help people pace themselves as they're doing an FTP test.
Ah, we're gonna talk about that a little later.
I saw
So,
that. I let Andy
yeah.
know, and I'm very interested to hear why you don't recommend ramp test because someone was telling me you guys need a ramp test.
Yeah, we'll talk
Okay.
about that.
So in any case, we got together. I wasn't doing anything. He had this thing going, and we said, "Let's go build an app."
Nice.
And the app actually became a website, open to all, and that's how we got started. And that's sort of my intro to bicycling. So before I owned a Peloton cycle for about 6 months. I used it 7 times, and in my replay this year, I've got a perfect record. It's all zeros
Oh,
across the
no.
activities, but that's okay
But
because
you
I
were
get to
doing
ride
other things.
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, but my partners, Andy and Chris. Chris is one of the
Mhm.
principals or the principal at Pello Buddy.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and so Home Fitness Buddy, big Power Zone resource there. And so we got together, and uh, two of the three partners wanted better stuff out of Peloton and saw a market opportunity and built tools that they themselves wanted to use. I
Mm.
just like hacking on stuff, and technology excites me, and user experience excites me. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty good, reasonably good at thinking about how people might interact with things,
Mhm.
and I want it to look beautiful and be fun to use. And Andy and Chris are domain experts in sort of power zone things.
Yeah.
So And Andy likes to refer to front end programming as, the black arts. So it's a match made in heaven.
Well, in user experience, from my opinion, as a Peloton rider and also an outdoor rider and a coach, is the user experience. There's so much that I think Peloton leaves on the table that's the reason why all of these various ancillary programs have come up,
Absolutely.
but they're still not. And maybe it's that the majority of the population doesn't care about these things, but I think in general there is a big population of people who do want advanced analytics and statistics and um, pacing tools and other things to help the user experience more than anything else. So that's where this partnership developed, which I think is really exciting. I first learned of you just about a year ago when I took over the challenges from Matt, and uh, I started using your tool simply to look at the class structures. And we didn't really go very far, but it was like, there's more here. There's definitely more here. And I remember meeting with you all. And at the time, Matt was like, "Why are you meeting with them?" I'm like, "Because they have something really special going on here. And I want to see how we can do something together." So that was maybe 6 months ago. So this has been in the works for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the partnership is really cool because we've got this amazing technology, which everybody's going to get to experience, and it's just going to get better. That's the other thing, by the way, you guys. I learned a new term a couple weeks ago as I was looking at developing an app, which was MVP, and then you used it, and I was like, I know what that is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's an
Everyone in
MVP?
Silicon Valley knows what that is.
Low tech Lori here. So what is an MVP?
Non bike riding John here.
Yeah, minimum viable product, meaning
Yep.
we're going to put out a product that's going to do what we need it to do at the bare bones, and then it's going to get better and better. So this is our MVP, but it's not our finished product, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting. So our goal is that we're going to take this technology with Domestiq and the coaching from Team Wilpers, which nobody knows Peloton coaching the way that we do, which is awesome. And I think we're going to knock it out of the park with this. So, which kind of segues into Domestique and what we're doing here. And folks have had a couple days to click around, and I've been answering questions, and our group leads have been answering questions. And hi, everybody. There's so many of you on today. I can't say hi to all of you. So I'll just say hi to all of you, by the way. So, what are some of the cool features that we have with this app or this
Yeah.
website, this platform?
Sure.
We'll call it a
Sure.
platform.
So yeah, let's talk about that. We frequently get questions, is there an app for that?
Yeah.
And no, and perhaps in the future, but this site was highly optimized for small screens. And in
Hmm.
fact, our target screen that when we develop, we use an iPhone SE screen size. Okay, just to put that in perspective, that's 375 pixels. The first computers were 640 pixels wide. And, and it looks fantastic, even on the smallest screens. And what's great is the same experience morphs. If I have a large screen, an iPad or what have you, it looks great. So one place that you can go on all of your devices to run your challenge,
Hmm.
learn more about your performance in Domestique, and so some of the cool features. Um, well, obviously we have the challenge itself,
Hmm.
and we show all of their class profiles for that. We generate your perf charts against that. That's one of the basic membership features that's
Hmm.
complimentary. You don't have to pay us, for that. We have a unique in that constellation of apps around Peloton. We have the unique ability to push items to your stack.
Oh,
So, for
that is
example,
mind blowing to me.
yeah. So, for example, I think one of our colleagues, Logan, was saying, I just want to know it's there before I walk down to the garage and do my ride. Hey,
We're
Lily.
just going to say hi. Lily has
Yeah,
not said
hi
hi to
there.
everyone. My poor baby is
um,
traumatized being in a strange house. So
so,
sorry, John.
yeah, no problem. Uh, yeah, we do cat videos too.
Push to stack, push to stack, push to stack.
Yeah, push to stack. So, what you can do. with your challenge is not only can you see the schedule, but for any day, you can click the giant green, replace my stack with this day's classes button, and that entire tranche of classes will be pushed to your Peloton stack. And before you get your gear on and you walk down to the garage, you can take a look at your stack. And yep, it's there. And so you have confidence that the things you need to be doing to meet your commitment to yourself and to your training group, those things are in your stack.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. You can also add and remove classes individually. Um, you
Which is
We have
great because some people are like, "Oh, I always do my FTP test with Dennis or with Matt or whatever." And we have an FTP test coming up on Tuesday. And so you can do that. You can replace those. And we'll
you
talk
you
more about why you might want to do that.
sure. And the other things that you can do are there's power zone timers.
Ah.
So I understand that some people like to watch Netflix movies while they are riding Peloton. So you can also run our power zone timer instead of paying attention to your display and watch the ball move along the intervals so that you can maintain your proper zone pace.
Mhm.
Um,
And that's a John, I'm gonna take this offline with you, but I've had a question from somebody about using a non-Peloton with the timers, but she doesn't have a power meter, and I'm trying to help her figure out how we're gonna do that, which will probably be a perceived exertion thing, but
sure.
I haven't used the timers yet, so we'll
Uh,
chat about that.
right. Another one of my
Yeah.
dearest and oldest friends rides with a crew outside of Detroit.
Mhm.
He just got a kicker that was lent to him.
Oh,
And
nice.
for Eric and his riding buddies, I want to figure out how we can support people with non Peloton power meters to use
Mhm.
our timers and tools.
Oh, good.
Okay. So, some other cool stuff. We have. A really great search. So for the Power Zone hardcore folks, we have what we call the Power Zone search tool. And that allows you to specify either include these intervals or time in interval, this range of TSS and things like this in a very easy to use
Mhm.
form. And it will surface all those rides. I
Yeah.
suspect, Lori, that you might have used that tool when
Yep.
you were trying to build your challenges.
Remember, you guys, all those Zone 2 rides that I had to
Yeah,
find for you? I
yeah,
found them through Domestiq. So I
yeah.
can say, "Ah, man, I just wanna do Zone 2 today." And instead of taking a class that has a variety and just riding it in Zone 2, you can find a Zone 2 class. Or if you wanna do a power profile or whatever you wanna do, specific instructors, languages, the search tools are very robust. A little too robust sometimes. I'm like, "Wow,
Yeah,
this is a
so
lot of
one of our
stuff."
first conversations is it mom proof? And I
Yeah.
am happy to report that my 83-year-old mother was able to successfully sign up for the challenge, choose the number of rides per week, and pick a team.
Oh,
So,
cool.
uh, at least in this household, it's mom proof.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
So the other thing, just sort of more fun stuff.
yeah.
Uh, so Andy, back in the day, and still is a deadhead, and music is really, really important to him. And so we have one of the only ways that you can search for music artists or songs in Peloton rides.
Wow.
So, uh, yeah, those are sort of the highlights. We have some other things that we'll be integrating back to your minimally viable product. Couldn't get it out in 14 days,
Right.
but we expect that on February 1st, the constellation of applications and I guess features that you see in the Domestiq Classic site will be available in the Challenge site, and then we'll only have one site, and it will be the Challenge and Domestiq available in a single site. But right
Nice.
now we have Classic and Challenge. And just a quick word on that for those of you on this call that were Domestiq members before you were introduced to us by Team Wilpers. Your credentials, your password, your username are shared on both sites. they're two different sites, so you have to log in, but
Ah,
you use the same username and password. So if you already have a Domestiq account, you don't need to create a challenge account. If you already have a challenge account, you don't need to create a Domestiq account.
got it. And those will eventually merge, right? So February 1st is our merge date. Yes. We will
One
be
wins,
one,
yeah,
everybody. We
yeah,
are going to be Domestiq powered by Team Wilpers, and it's going to be
that's
very, very
correct.
exciting.
Yeah.
So, see, now I am a high tech person. So I'm launching a platform.
Yep.
Here we go.
Mm.
um, oh, talk about the other. So self certification. I thought this was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
So, but the site will certify automatically, right? Talk about that.
Yeah, sure. That is a cool thing. I have not done a challenge before, but Andy and Chris have done lots of challenges.
Hmm.
So I think you might recall some of our participants here that you had to go back to the Team Wilper site and pick click the big check button.
Yeah.
Well, if you've given us, if you're riding Peloton for this challenge and you've linked your accounts, we can look at your workouts and say, hey, Amy has already done that ride. I'm going to tick
Hmm.
the box for her.
Yeah.
And I think, Lori, we discussed that our rules are we won't allow you to do that ride and qualify that ride until the day of the ride.
Right.
And then any ride after its scheduled date until 1 week after the end of the program, that
Hmm.
counts as a completion and helps your training group's compliance and completion
Yay.
percentages.
Good.
Yeah,
So let me just recap that. So automatically, if I take a class on the day of the class, that stack will be there that day, not in advance, but on that day. And then when I take that class, it's going to push it back and check that box.
that's correct. And so I want to clarify on one thing.
Yeah.
Yes, the auto check stuff. Man, this is a high wire act. Andy's working on that. He started it yesterday, and we hope it's going to be done. But we
Oh,
got
good.
until Tuesday. The first ride's not till Tuesday.
Exactly. We've been filling out Google Forms and going back to
Yeah,
websites
yeah.
and doing
So
all
we
those
got
things. So,
plenty of time. Um, the thing that uh, we need to expose, but we have the ability to do, is to for you to opt in to push the day's
ah,
workouts to my stack.
yeah.
We would like feedback from our participants about
Hmm.
that because today the Peloton stack can only contain 10 items. If you had 8 items in your stack and there were 4 rides scheduled, sort of like day Tuesday of next week,
Hmm.
when we went to go add them automatically, we could only squeeze 2 more in.
Hmm.
And so we've made the decision that when you do it manually, we just replace the entire stack. And we
Cool.
warn, we say, hey,
Yeah.
you know,
You sure?
so
By the way, the other thing that I learned when we were chatting about this, and Melissa Patrick, don't panic. There's a way to make this work. Um, is nothing is permanent. You can redo your stack. You can
iterate,
undo your stack.
iterate,
You can, yeah.
iterate. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
click around. You're not going to break anything. Melissa,
Yeah.
you can still do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's not going to push to your stack. We talked about this yesterday. So you'll manually go in and click those classes, send them to your stack. That will send them to the bike. Then you'll have to manually. So if you do the class in advance of the day that it's scheduled, you have to manually check it. If you do it after, it'll do it. So say you were going to ride Wednesday, Friday, Sunday instead, then it would click everything for you. But
Yeah, we
yes,
have this notion of self-certify.
yes.
You know, hey,
So
we
that's
know you're
where
working
if you
hard.
ride ahead or you substitute a class, you're like, ah, man, I really want to do this class with Charlotte because I want to learn German. So yes, then you can self-certify and
Yeah, and you can just you can either said, no, I self-certify. Yep, I did a ride outside. Trust me, I hit these
yeah,
intervals.
yeah,
Or you can say I did Charlotte's ride because I'm learning German.
yeah. So we're trying to make, as you know, one of my philosophies in coaching is make it flexible, make it easy. And obviously, we want to maintain the integrity of the program the way it's written, but we also want you to participate. And so I want to make it
Yeah.
easy for you. So, and Jeff, hush up, would you? Whatever with boxes. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to check boxes. You don't have to
You
check
don't have to
boxes.
check boxes.
Guess what? It's
if you
all
follow the
good.
program. If you don't follow the program, you're checking boxes.
Exactly. So, we're very excited about all this. I think y'all will too. And like I said, definitely, I know based on feedback that we've gotten from the chat groups and on the general page, people have just, even in the last couple of days, clicked around a bunch and send feedback. So you can send feedback to me. You can give it to your group leads if you're in one of the training groups, and we're starting a list. Right now we're working on, obviously items that are integral into what we're building, but we also can have blue sky list, right? Oh, I learned that
Yeah.
term recently too. There's
Yeah.
another tech term. I even have a blue sky folder. For those of you who don't know, I'm not going to tell you.
Uh-oh.
Move to
Sounds like
Silicon
work.
Valley. Yes, it does. So, yeah. Let me, before we move on, I want to scroll back into the comments and see. There's a lot of comments. See if there's anything. A lot of good mornings. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And Happy New Year. Thank you for compliments on the shirt. We still have more. They're tech tees, by the way. I didn't realize when they asked my size, it's tech tee. It's a little big for me, but um, that's because I like to paint my clothing on whatever. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I thought we had one scammer in here. Uh, Congratulations, Jeff, on naming Domestiq. I'm sure you'll get your residuals. Cool ceiling fan prop. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I also want to say that some of you have already gotten to know. So just a quick shout out to Amy. Thanks for providing us feedback. You can always use the help or feedback links in the footer of the site for that, and we try to be as responsive as possible. In particular, the things that you should direct towards the Domestique team of
Mhm.
this partnership are, boy, this feels broken. You know,
Yeah.
I can't help you with coaching. That's Lori's job.
Will help. And my
Yeah,
guess is we will probably have John or someone else from Domestic on and for some additional help, some tutorials, because I
sure.
know there's a learning curve here. But I think this is of all the remember low tech Lori. I'm very slow to adapt things, and I go kicking and screaming because I just don't like change. I have to admit it, and I always feel like I'm going to break something or fail. And I'm doing fine with this app. So if again, 83-year-old mother and Lori can do it,
You
anyone can
got it.
do it.
You got it.
We don't need your phone, Jeff. And what else is going on here? Uh, FTP. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So stay on. And yes, I agree that it shouldn't be an app. I love when we have everything mobile optimized and apps make life difficult. And what I really like about Domestique is, and the fact that it's not an app, too often we see things like even Training Peaks. The app and the website are completely different. They have different features and different functions. And I'm like, so there's a lot of that.
So
Um,
quickly on that, just for those of you that like the convenience of just clicking a single button, if you
mhm,
pause during the login screen, you'll receive a prompt that says, add this to your home screen. So you can add it to your home
right.
screen. Adding it to your home screen with the remember me
Mhm,
checkbox ticked makes it much more app-like because you just go find the domestique icon, click it, and you're in.
yeah. I do that with a lot. And then I pretend they're apps, right? I call everything an
Exactly.
app. Right.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
we'll get to it. There's this cool new technology called Flutter that we'd really like to explore to build an app
oh,
with these
cool.
features. Yeah.
Yeah. I think lots of good mornings, and we like the sites. And Valerie, I mentioned earlier, if we ride on off days, we do get the check. It depends if you ride before the day it's assigned or after the day it's assigned.
You're
We
right.
treat those differently.
If you ride
Yeah.
after, you're golden.
Yeah. But if you ride before, you have to manually go in and self certify, is what they're
Yep.
calling that. Um, And wow, lots of chatter. Whoever it was that said they were listening a class in one ear and us in another, you're crazy. Yes, your head will explode. Uh, how do we manage swapping a challenge class on the challenge site? Uh,
This is the self-certify thing. So
okay.
don't add it to your stack. Do the ride you want to do, and when you
Mhm.
go to the checkbox, say I did this other ride instead.
Yeah. And it'll still show up in your history on Domestic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
just
some of
won't
the
show up
things
on
that
the
we
challenge page.
some of the things that we haven't yet exposed that you would see if you trot on over to the Domestiq Classic site is, we have a comprehensive feed of your workouts with all your stats and charts.
Hmm.
Uh, we worked on the minimally viable product, your
They had
workout
charts on
history.
charts on charts. We'll just say
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Your workout history is coming.
Yeah,
It's just not there now.
yeah. Elliot, you have a question about syncing with Garmin Connect. Garmin has shut down, as has Strava has also shut down a lot of stuff. I think every app is, or every, I should say, technology like Wahoo, Garmin, uh, Strava, they're all getting very proprietary about how they receive data and how they send data. Um, I'm using RunGap. I assume that's what you're using too, and it works great. I use it to Training Peaks. And I would say, if you're really thinking about it, and you may use any devices beside a Garmin at any point, move over to Training Peaks. You can get a free account, and it'll take all of your data from all your various sites. So will Strava, of course. Strava is another social network, but there are options there. I think it's probably very hard, and I don't know the technology, but APIs and stuff like that, right, John? To
Yeah,
get permission to
those
send
those
data to
are
another site.
definitely, that's what we'd need to do to support my buddy from Detroit. So,
Yeah.
we're sort of personally motivated to show
Ah,
off and do something cool there.
yeah. Um, what else do we see? Bluetooth connectivity with power meter. Oh, meaning, Jeff, can you run the class on the platform with the timer? Uh, Talk about the timers for a minute, John,
Yeah, so
and how that
the
works.
the on when a power zone class, if you go to let's see, is it Wednesday, the first, there's a mat ride and there's something that
Mm,
looks like a stopwatch on that class listing in the challenge dashboard. Click on the stopwatch, that opens up a timer. And what is the timer? Well, it's like the sing along dot. It presents the profile, and there's a start stop uh, pause button, but you hit the start button, and this little red dot is going to crawl across the profile and beep at every interval change. And it's just a way that you can quickly visually check, am I riding at the right pace to meet my zone target?
hmm.
Because a really good part of The Sopranos is coming up here. you know,
So you would do that on your phone,
on your
but it
phone.
but it doesn't upload into a device or anything.
No, it's just
So
on your phone. It's just a web.
okay.
It's just the challenge site showing you a timer. And so,
Hmm.
great question. I think during most of the Power Zone, most classes in general, there's sort of the Peloton instructors will have a little preamble, and they won't
Hmm.
actually like start the ride until about a minute in.
Right.
When they start the ride, that's when you hit the start
Okay.
button. And then we have little tiny buttons that you can sync. Back me up
Hmm.
1 second or 10 seconds, move me forward one if you're out of phase with where they are in the ride.
Right.
Super simple and a lot of fun.
And it might be something to put on our blue sky list. We don't have a huge number of users for the timers. We'll know more about that once we
Well,
start seeing data from
yeah,
Domestiq.
what we found, Lori, is that this is not just for people that aren't riding Power Zone. Again,
Right.
this is for people that are riding Peloton that don't want to look at the instructor and would
Yeah.
rather watch TV.
Or they'd rather listen to a different class, or they'd rather,
So
or they get on their
that is
bike
one of
with
the
a power
best use
meter,
cases.
or,
Like, I hate
yeah.
this music, but I want to ride this profile
Yeah. Yes. So Christy asked, "Do these timers align with the classes exactly?" Yes, because
based on when you start, and you can
yeah,
synchronize.
the timers that we used previously were actually workouts that were developed by Greg and then by Brian. These are going to align with the classes. So these are based on the classes.
Okay,
The timers that we had from Greg and Brian also had GPX files, so you could upload them to your
I
Wahoo
see.
or your,
I see.
yeah.
I see.
And that, like I said, if we get more data, the challenge right now is, as everybody knows, we don't have a lot of data on who's doing what. And one of the nice things about this is we're going to see, do we have a lot of people using the timers? In the last couple of challenges, we only had about 100 people using the timers.
Oh,
And
okay.
when
Well,
we eliminated
that's like
them for this last
10%.
challenge, no one even reached out. I had one person reach out to me and say, "No more timers," and that was it.
Okay.
So, yeah. So when we look at maybe where our priority is, it's probably not a huge priority at this point because we don't have a lot of folks that aren't doing Power Zone classes or who
Yeah.
don't have a Peloton bike. But it may be something we'll put on our list for the well, it's definitely something to put on the list for the future.
Yeah.
Because these guys are smart. I believe that they can do whatever we ask them to do. We just have to prioritize. So, because there's so many cool things we could do.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, and I think we kind of talked about what's coming down the line. So,
Yeah, it's just
you all are
more of what
getting
you
in
might
real
see.
early.
So one of there's two big sort of proprietary features. One is called
Hmm.
class list. And class list today in the Peloton universe, all you can do is bookmark a class. It's either
Mm,
bookmarked or it's not bookmarked. Well, that's great, but I'd like a list of my favorite yoga classes. I'd like a list of my favorite climb classes,
hmm.
and you can maintain, a class list, or you could build. This is my what I do on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And again, we have that push to stack, so you can go to
Right.
your Monday class list, push it to your stack, and do your Monday workout. The other thing is workout wizards. I think Peloton has something on the order of 40,000 available classes and
And
something on
people
the order of,
on the original Peloton users group still complain about no live classes. Sorry.
okay,
40,000
yeah, yeah,
classes.
yeah.
Pick a
So,
class, people.
yeah, so and there's something on the order of 16,000 cycling classes. So it's the paradox of choice. It's like, what are we going to watch on Netflix? I have no freaking idea. It's too much work to figure out what I'm going to watch on Netflix.
Hmm.
Workout Wizards give you a way to say, you know what? I need a 30-minute ride with a TSS of 40 and a cool down of 5 minutes, and I want to stretch after that. And you can just
Yep.
press the button, and it's like a slot machine. It will just say, what about these? And because I
Nice.
don't like that one, and you can select a different one, then you can say push it to my stack.
Yeah.
And novelty is good. Gets you
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone. It's sort of
Yeah.
like the I'm feeling lucky button on the Google website.
Right. And we're seeing more and more of this with the inception of AI coaching as well, which we know is not coaching. It's like I would call it AI program curation, maybe. But we look at Trainer Road, we look at Garmin. Garmin will say, do something like this today, or Trainer Road will actually go a little step further with stuff like that. So there are options out there, nothing based on Peloton though. So there's some pretty exciting stuff. Um, and Mark says, and this is true. So Mark, whenever we do a class that's not a Power Zone class, we don't get the pretty graph with the Power Zones in it. But again, maybe that's something we can put on the list.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, Dr. Mark is a legend at Domestiq. And Mark, nice to see you here this morning. Thank you so much for your help as we were developing these Power Zone features.
Ah.
I told him that he gets some of the royalties.
Oh,
So,
that's for the lawyers. We don't.
yeah.
Oh, not you. Well, Jeff, you could be our lawyer. Anyways, um, I am certain we will probably do some tutorial where we can actually click and show you things. John and I met yesterday and kind of walked through everything. And I was like, dang, I wish there was a way for us to show screens. And so hopefully, early on, we'll be able to schedule a little something where you can come in and we'll do a
Maybe we can do
office hours.
a Zoom,
Yeah,
a
that'll
mass
work.
Zoom meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. See? Well, maybe we should send him a t-shirt. Um, anyways,
Yeah.
let's talk about the New Year challenge. So it's going to be back to basics, but basics are so important. And I hate calling things basics, fundamentals. So we have an 8-week challenge. Uh, it's a foundational base building challenge. So we're going to be doing a lot of endurance. We're going to do some non-endurance as well, but this time is all on the bike. So last challenge we did some non-bike cardio, which was great. And a lot of you have said, "Hey, I like that. I'm going to keep doing it." Good. Um, this time it's going to be all bike. We're going to be focused on pushing that FTP up from below. So when we look at FTP, we can approach it two ways. We can build that foundation. We can also pull FTP up. That's what we're doing kind of in our sprint challenge, right? So this is really going to work on building your FTP, building your foundation for the whole year. And so typical 3-week build, week off, not off, back off, right? Take a little taper there and then 3-week build. We are benchmarking this with the FTP test at the beginning and the end. So for those of you who already just recently did an FTP test, I would say you don't have to do that. Pick another benchmark though. So you could do that same FTP test at the end of the challenge that you already did, or you could do something different. And one of the suggestions we were talking about yesterday was doing the power profile class. Now, the challenge with using that as a benchmark during a foundational period is you might not see a lot of change because we're not working on high end. So, yeah. So, anyways, lots of endurance, some intensity. You have the option of 3, 4, or 5 rides a week. And one feature that we didn't mention that's really cool is you can change your mind anytime, as many times as you want. So there,
That's right, Lori. Yeah, so they
yeah,
can change it, and we will then. Great. I think I need to
yeah.
add or remove these rides to your future schedule. I see a question here from Maggie about FTP results. Yes,
Hmm.
Maggie. Under the profile, there's FT preferences, and we will automatically identify your FTP rides and put them there. In time, we'll develop an FTP history graph for you, but it's
Yeah.
pretty easy to see what's going on. And if you took an FTP test outside of the Peloton platform, you can manually add an entry. If you
Hmm.
bonked, you can also disqualify that
Yeah.
FTP test.
Yeah. Um, and if you think your test results are wrong, because so many people do, and you ended up with a 170 FTP, and you really think it's 250, you can change it, but don't do it because that's just foolish. Anyways, yes. So everything is going to be updated there, and if you do it on the Peloton, it'll update on Peloton as well. Now, it's important for your FTP to match on the two. So again, if you had a bad FTP test and you want to keep it where it is and maybe not take that result, make sure you manually go into the Peloton and update it there because it's going to update for you, or it's going to give you the option to update. So, um, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, manual. We'll talk about the ramp test in a minute. And
Uh-oh.
why or why not. I know John was like, "What?" I sent John my show notes, and he's like, "Oh, we're going to talk about the ramp test." I'm like, "Mm-hmm." Anyways, so we've got our benchmark. And yes, there was one other question. If you don't do the FTP test, yeah, you can do it. I would say do a PZE class unless you really want to do something a little more intense, and then just pick something that is repeatable. That's what's important about testing and benchmarks is repeatability.
Right.
Um,
And then to Valerie, just to enter that FTP value that you think you achieved manually.
mhm.
No problem.
Yeah. Or she just did it, I think, right, Valerie? So then her goal was just do a different class for that day on Tuesday.
Okay, got it. I see.
Yeah. What
Sounds
else?
like
Oh, a
Andy.
climb. A climb. By the way, I think a climb is a great benchmark for base miles. So that's also another good one because you will see an improvement there because you're bringing your FTP up. So that would be another option. Pick one of the climbs that we did last year. The now I can't think of the mountain, but you know the one we did with Christine. Uh, Anyways, optional strength. So we've got optional strength as well. The two sites are still separate. So our all access site on Team Wilpers will still have the strength training and it won't be part of Domestiq. And that may come down the line. But um, basically, what we're working on here is starting the new year. It's interesting. I wanted to start a week later, and everybody on the Team Wilpers team said, no, you have to start. So they're training on New Year's Day. Okay, I get that, right? Never miss a Monday, whatever the philosophy is. But what are we building? Our pyramid. We've got consistency. We want to build this habit. We want to ride as often as we can. We want to keep our training consistent. We want to build that rhythm. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, those are our quality rides. We add in Wednesday, we add in Sunday. If you're on a different schedule, that's good, but you've got your own rhythm. We want to set the rhythm. That's how we succeed. And then progression. And progression is what I give you. So we're going to make you fitter and faster if you follow the program. If you do your own thing, I have no guarantees for you. You may not. So we'll see. Um, yeah, let's talk FTP testing. Anything else about the program? John's like, that sounds great. Let's ride bikes. So, why do we test FTP? Palomar, thank you. Um, I've, yeah, I've had a rough few days since Christmas morning with no power. So my brain is on half a cylinder here. Anyways, uh, Where were we? Oh yeah, FTP testing. Why? And you all know my opinion on this. FTP is not the be all and end all of cycling. It is designed to be, whoops, a tool to set your training zones. So, our functional threshold power. So, in order to set our training zones, we have to know what that is. It is not a number, it's a range. It can change from day to day. I was listening to a great podcast, Train to Road, and Hannah Otto, who's a young pro, mostly mountain biker, but she also does some gravel. She's actually quite smart. She's 29 and she's really quite smart, and she was talking about FTP at the pro level, but also as a coach. And she said, even during the course of the day, your FTP might be different. And you guys have noticed training feels different in the morning than it does at night, right? Training feels different in a warm room than it does in a cold room. Training feels different outside versus inside. If I'm on a Peloton versus a trainer, they're all going to be different. So while we are using FTP as our benchmark here, it is not a report card. It's not something we want to game the system. If you do, if you try to get the highest score possible and it's too high, you're going to have training zones that really aren't going to be beneficial to you. So, more is not better when we're looking at power based training. More is just more. So, we want to be very intentional about when do we go hard, when do we go easy. Easy needs to be easy. And a lot of you are like, oh, I hate any ride that has zone two in it. Well, guess what? That's your bread and butter. So you don't get the peanut butter until you do the bread and butter first. So, anyways, so our purpose in FTP testing twofold in this challenge will be, let's set a benchmark. Let's start the year. We're going to test where we are today. Where am I today? I can't lie on the scale. I can't lie on my FTP test. So, and yeah,
Yeah, I got that one. So I think it's perhaps Melissa, just add,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
Melissa, we don't know. We're still working on that. On pricing and what a membership's going to cost. And so right now we're super focused on, getting the site out there, and delivering value. And, we want as many people to be able to take advantage of these premium features as possible. And the honest
yeah,
answer is we have not yet finalized pricing.
yeah. It will be very, very, very affordable. There's no question. So, yeah. Anyways, back to FTP. See how we changed that topic so easily? Because as Sparty Hawk said, and I saw that, you absolutely hate the FTP test, but that's okay. Most people do. And let me share a story with you. I have a client. She is a Peloton rider, but she's one of my coaching clients. She also rides outside. And in our program, we took an FTP test at the beginning of December. And it was the first time she'd done a formal one inside. And outside of the Peloton world, we use a little different protocol in the outside bike world. And she got a specific result, and her FTP came out about 170 watts, which is actually quite good for her. And yeah, but she had a really messy test, and she was very strained and stressed and erratic, and she barely could hold on and felt like she was, having panic attacks. And so this test, we had a plan. And I think your plan, when you look at how to execute the test, because I know that was one of our questions too, is you have to kind of know where you think your FTP is and be realistic about it. I always like to think my FTP is around 250, but it's not. And if I start a test too hard, I'm going to blow up and I'm going to have a really bad result. So, oh, yeah, it was Ask the Cycling Coach, I think. Sorry about that. I was thinking it was Trainer Road, but it is Ask a Cycling Coach, which is Trainer Road, isn't it? Anyways, I shouldn't read comments while I'm talking about other things. Anyways, so she retook her test yesterday, and we set very specific goals for each minute of the test. We started conservatively. We knew that we could always back down. We talked a lot about cadence, because one of the things that happens when people test is they spin too fast. They get all excited, all stimulated, and they're like, go, 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 go. Now, if you've ever taken a dentist class, because he talks about this, what happens when my cadence is higher? My heart rate goes up, which makes me feel panicky if my cadence is a little lower. And I'm not saying low. We don't want to, again, game that system. I want something realistic to what I ride, but maybe low is 85 for an outdoor rider. And so instead of spinning at 95 because I'm nervous, if I really focus on that cadence and bring it down, then I can keep my cardiac system in control. I can keep my brain in control. And she had the most perfect test yesterday. There was not a single blip. Perfectly executed, just this beautiful line. I wish I could show you. I'm very, very proud of her. And so, did her FTP go up? Maybe. In technically, it didn't, I think, because I think she didn't achieve the right FTP result in her first test. But yes, so she gained 7 watts from her previous test, but it was a better executed test. And I would say maybe we make that our goal for this challenge is let's execute the test well. Let's not try to beat the system. Let's execute a beautiful 20-minute effort. If nothing else, you get a good 20-minute workout.
And avoid a
And
panic attack.
yes, right? Don't fall off your bike. And best case scenario is you get really accurate results. And that's what we're looking for is an accurate result and a repeatable test protocol. So that's why I've emphasized whatever you do at the beginning of the challenge, let's also do at the end of the challenge so it's repeatable, so you can compare. So you can maybe improve your execution, if nothing else. And I'm also a terrible test taker. I hate it as much as all of you. And I'd rather go climb a hill and figure it out from that. But it's an important exercise to be able to execute a workout. And think of it that way. It's a workout. It's not a test. It's an FTP workout. So, anyways, you have to know what you think your FTP is so you can start and have a strategy for that. Where are you going to start with your power output? When are you going to increase? How much are you going to increase? I have a very nice little spreadsheet I can pop into the group so you can maybe use that and help and plan. So, yes, Christy, you go take that FTP test right now. It's very inspiring. It should be a positive experience, not a negative. It shouldn't make you feel like, oh, I disappointed myself. I didn't improve. You might not improve. That's okay. But did you execute the test well? And that's what I think is really important from this. So, we'll dread it until I can warm up. Yes.
I mean,
Race brain is good. And also know that when you're executing the test, there is for just about everybody a period in that second third of the test that you absolutely just want to quit and make it your goal not to quit. Hi, Erin. We're not going to tell you anything you talked about because you are 47 minutes late. Just kidding. Hi. Anyways, so why don't we execute the ramp test or why don't we recommend the ramp test? And if you talk to any outdoor cycling coach, except folks who work with sprinters, they're going to tell you the ramp test is not going to give you an accurate result. It will overstate your zones. And so again, if we look at FTP as being a benchmark to set a training zone, we want accurate training zones. It's not a report card. It's not a gauge of your fitness overall. It's not what you, that's all I can say. It's not all those things. Don't stress about it. And the ramp test is going to give you a result that's going to make your training zones too hard. So again, if our goal is let's have accurate zones, doing the ramp test is not a good choice. Anybody can do a ramp test, truthfully, but not everybody can execute this 20-minute test. So most of us in the coaching world will say testing is training and training is testing. It's a good workout, no matter what you do. And it's also a good way for you to work on your mental discipline, your pacing, all of those things. So, and as I mentioned, my last point was if you already just tested within the last couple of weeks, yeah, choose another benchmark, choose something else that you can do. Not the ramp test, but something else. So, and I'll post that spreadsheet up. By the way, if there are any questions on here that we haven't answered or you have other questions, post them in the group. We'll do our best to monitor today and get everything up there. I'm going to take just 1 minute to tell us about next week, but you've all seen it, which is great. And I have gotten some questions about PDFs. Are we? Yes, it makes you a superhero. You're all superheroes. I always feel like that when I put my cycling clothes on, right? My skin tight lycra.
Nice.
I'm putting on my super suit. So PDFs. I'm not making PDFs anymore. because we're going to be able to print from the site. I don't think we can today, but we will be able to print
Eh,
your weekly
Yeah,
calendar from the site.
can't do it today, but look for a little printer icon or something next week, and we'll
Yeah.
just have a web page that's formatted for printing.
Yeah. I mean, you can print the site now, but it's going to give you 10 pages of, whatever. So,
Unless you hide the inline charts.
oh,
Excuse
there
me,
we
the
go.
inline class profiles.
Yeah. We changed some terminology
Oh, no, no,
yesterday
no.
because
Yeah, class
I
profile,
was like, what
sorry.
is this inline chart? That means nothing to us. Let's talk about them. So, yeah. Anyways, Monday, rest day. Those of you who like to work out on Monday, go for it. Just rearrange your schedule. Keep the same rhythm. That's important. Tuesday is testing. So pick your favorite instructor. If it's not Tunde, that's okay. If you've never taken her FTP test, maybe try it, whatever. But we all have our favorites. So pick your favorite. Use that test at the end as well. You'll just need to manually click your box. And then Wednesday, actually, we're all Power Zone Endurance this week. So it's a nice, easy week with the exception of Tuesday, which is going to be your intense workout for the week. Um, 30 minutes with Matt on Wednesday, 30 minutes with Ben on Thursday, 45 minutes with Christine on Saturday. And if you feel like 45 minutes is a stretch right now, for whatever reason, do a shorter ride, do a 30-minute, and you'll build up to it. And then Sunday, we've got a 30-minute with Dennis. So should be a good week for you all. We had a little more intensity, as you could see, in future weeks. And then two other things I want to mention. One is join your chat group. So we put together some groups based on time zone this time. We have 6 of them, although not a lot of folks in the UK and not a lot of folks in Australia yet, but hopefully we get a few more. And join your groups. Why? Why? Small group focus. It's nice. You get a little more personalized attention. They're very social. Um, our group leads are awesome and they can all help you answer questions, which is great because there's 4 of them and just 1 of me. So utilize them, and they probably know as much as I do or more. And also the opportunity to train together. So a lot of the groups are throwing out group times so you can ride together. You can join more than one chat group if you want, but we based them on time zones in the US. So um, and then we are still using a hashtag or a leaderboard tag of Team Wilpers Cycling. I posed that question to our coaching group and our management group yesterday. I was like, do we need a different hashtag? So we might talk about that. So if we have any updates, we'll post them and let you know. But I think that's about it. Anything else from you, John, or any other
Yeah,
questions
one
from the
quick
peanut gallery?
yeah, so one quick thing is that when you have done the ride and you have your blue line performance chart, there's just a little clipboard thing. You can click it and paste it to the group.
Yes.
So
Now
so the
you
other
don't have to
thing,
go to another group to do it.
yeah, and then the other thing I think is that we've talked about this, Lori. One of the reasons you might want to participate and the training group, in addition to support, is we should be able to just automatically have a feed of all the people in your training group. This is what they did, and
Yeah.
we do have an option like I want my results to be private, But
Hmm.
in any case, that's coming. It's not
Yeah.
MVP, but it's coming.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
This has been, as those of you who've been here since the beginning have learned, this has been basically a year-long process of um, starting to work with Domestiq and then trying to bring 2 phenomenal companies together to put together what we think is going to be the best platform for Peloton training out there. We've got the best coaching, we've got the best technology. So how can we not be the best? But we're really the best because of all of you. And I'm so excited that so many people showed up today. Um, we will post this in the group and it will be available. And like I said, we will probably try to set up a Zoom tutorial if anybody needs any special help. And I think that's about it for this. I'm really excited. Happy New Year, everybody. John, thank you for agreeing to be my guest. John is not usually a webcast person in the mornings or at
Oh,
all, right?
this is my first one.
Yeah, and you did
Yeah, so
fabulously.
this is
So,
fantastic. I really
yeah,
enjoyed it, Lori. Thanks a lot.
yay.
And I think that the link to the athletes briefing is up now. So when
Oh,
you
good.
publish this, it's ready to go.
I love it. I don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything. Just
I
click
know. See,
save.
this was all about making Lori's job easier, which it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
But
So
when it's
Lori, what
easier,
is
I
the
get to do
value
this.
of you doing schedules, making calendars?
I know. I saw that when They had a note about AI coaching, and I was like, no, 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 I don't care. Um, Feedback. When we talk about that in the coaching world a lot. Sorry, I'm segueing, but what is
Yes, no
AI
problem.
coaching, and why am I not worried about it? I think it's a great tool, and I think we have to be on board with technology. There's no question. Um, AI will never, as you know, in most industries, AI will never replace that human art of what we do, whether it's coaching or bike fitting or being a writer or whatever.
Or writing
AI is
code. I mean,
exactly. See, you're
yeah,
not worried about
so
your
so
job
there's,
either.
we do use AI when it helps us to write code, but AI
Right.
is lousy at doing user interfaces
Yeah.
and thinking through like human problems.
Hmm. Yeah. So, um, but yeah, technology can help us, and I think it's a great tool, and it will never be the coach that Lori is, so, or Brian is, or Greg, or any of our other coaches. So that's awesome. Anyways, uh, thank you all. We're gonna say our fond farewells. Happy New Year. See you on the leaderboard. Thanks,
Take
John.
care. Okay, no problem, Lori. Take care. Looking forward to seeing you all again.